Now, standing on the stage today, I look back 8 years ago as a 7-year-old kid. And now looking back, I realize that the 7-year-old me would have never come up those steps. But now, as a 15-year-old, somehow I've built the courage. And today I'm going to share a short story about how I am standing here today. So, when I was 7, my bathroom had a better career trajectory than I did. It had seen me go from an off key kid to getting applauded by the great Arijit Singh. Now, how many of you thought it was the real one? Unfortunately, not. Arijit Singh was just a very ambitious name that I had given a shampoo bottle to. The bathroom was where I had written my first set list. 5 songs that somehow made the bottles of shampoo sound like a Broadway band. I practiced there every morning and evening, experimenting with the dramatic runs, the dramatic pauses, and believe it or not, the dramatic belief that a tal can be a very honest audience. Well, that private, messy practice felt silly and sacred at the same time. No one was timing me, no one was grading me, no one made sure if I was singing the right lyrics. But did that matter to me? Absolutely not. For me, as a 7-year-old, all that mattered were the acoustics, the pride, and the confidence that I got by singing in my bathroom. Well, some days later, my dad came up to me and he said, Vidhan, you'll be singing at a family party. Just a small song, he said. And in that moment, everything changed. I panicked. My private little world had suddenly been exposed to the real one, and my heart dropped. What was supposed to be a silly performance for shampoo bottles and my own towel had suddenly been exposed to a stage filled with an audience, with actual eyes focusing on me, with actual opinions which might matter. But I did what I was asked to because back then I was a very sincere kid. Now, not sure if my parents agree to that anymore, but I walked up the small stage, knees uncertain and nerves rumbling, and did something that my bathroom had been preparing me for all these years. And somehow, not sure how, but I actually ended up finishing the song. No mistakes, no stumbles, no embarrassments. And that's when people came up to me with the kind of praise that messed me up in the nicest of ways. An uncle insisted that I had the radio voice, and a cousin asked if I'd recorded anything. And my sweet mother, my biggest supporter of all time, stood right beside the stage, smiling throughout the whole performance, probably knowing I was born this talented. But after that performance, I realized a very tiny thing. That these private performances that I had for my own and these public applause which I got, for some reason they weren't different. That my bathroom was my hall all along. The toiletries, the shampoo, the mirror, they were the audience all this time. And that was the start of a strange habit cascade. Well, I did not become perfect overnight. In fact, I'm not perfect, but I've significantly improved, is what I'll say. Um, that eventually I have improved as a person because once I had sang the wrong lyrics in a bathroom performance. I once sang flat at an aunt's wedding and blamed it on the mic because I really did not want my singing career to get over before it even started. I once mixed up two verses at a family party. But what I realized are that these small routines stopped feeling like trivia. 5 minutes in the bathroom, then 10 in front of cousins, and then 30 at a family gathering. Each small routine shifted the way I thought about myself. That movement, it wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks, there were no applauds, but there was just a tiny rearrangement within myself of what I believed I could do as a person. Later, when school carved its own dramas, a low grade in a science test, the decision to switch boards, the decision to leave behind my friends, and the ordinary anxieties that come for free in a teenager's life, I believe most of the people in this room can agree to that. I found myself once again within the walls of the bathroom, in the echoes of the bathroom performances I once had. Well, a D in the moment it felt catastrophic. A D in public felt like a dead end. A D in private felt probably like a script that needs to be rewritten. I did not take that D and like treated like something that is going to define me as a person for the rest of my life. Instead, I treated that D as a small sentence in a longer story that I am still writing. And I think most of us in this room, in fact, in this whole planet, are writing. And I like to call that story life. I labored over in the small hours, I stumbled. I understood, and I stumbled again. But months later, after that bumpy ride and those vigilant efforts, an A quietly sat on my report card. And to be honest, it felt like a reward that was building up for a long time. And a reward worthy enough for my mom to ask me that day, Beta, would you like to go out for dinner? I didn't ask for it, I didn't beg for it. But I think those are the perks you get after making your parents proud. There's something bigger that I've learned within myself during this process of probably reaching the stage or getting good marks. Is that for some reason, growth in my life has never looked dramatic. It has looked like me sitting at 11 p.m. right before a science test with my books open and me pretending that I was studying. And while me and my book, we were clearly going through a rough patch. Making an eye contact was the most impossible thing to do. In my life, growth has looked like singing the same line over and over again in the bathroom performances with the shampoo as the most loyal audience I've ever had and the towel as the toughest critic. Some days I felt ridiculous. Some days I felt like I was one single decision away from being a permanent family example. But anyhow, these moments have changed how I feel about myself and how I take myself forward as a person. I like to imagine these small moments as bricks, invisible bricks, because no one notices a single brick, but a wall is nothing else but bricks put together over time. My embarrassing lyrics, my bathroom performances, my late night problem solving, they were my bricks. They weren't perfect, they weren't beautiful, they weren't glamorous, they weren't shiny, they weren't headline ready. But in the end, they were my bricks and they were real. The best part of the story here that I'm telling in front of you is that I had changed my relationship with practice. Practice has stopped being an punishment or an order from my parents. Instead, practice became a conversation between who I am today and who I choose to become tomorrow. And and one of my friends asked me that, Vidhan, are you nervous for today? And I'm not going to lie, but I was very nervous. In fact, I'm still nervous. I still get stage fright, I still get embarrassed, I still get bad grades on a test. But that does not mean that I'm failing. One thing that I've learned is that these moments of failure, embarrassments, eventually they are proof that I'm becoming. So now I want you to sit back for a moment and just think within yourself. Just imagine one perfect life, one perfect routine, one perfect day, one perfect life. Now, how many of you could imagine one of them? Not sure. So now I will ask you a simple question. What would you be without your imperfections? Who would you be? And I want you to stick with that question for a little longer. I'm not here because of a perfect audition in front of my teachers. Instead, I'm here because of the countless nights I spent mustering over the courage to share my story in front of you. And today, even if you forget everything that I've said, like every single word, there's only a tiny thing that I would love for you to take away. Eventually, you have to build your own wall. Your wall is all you have, and your wall is who you are. These embarrassments, these mistakes, eventually they'll convert into a wall. And I know that I have experienced these failures firsthand and everything. And I know where it all started. And for me, it all started as a kid in a bathroom singing my favorite song. अभी अभी तो आई हो अभी अभी तो अभी अभी तो आई हो बाहर बन के छाई हो हवा जरा महक तो ले नजर जरा बहक तो ले ये शाम ढल तो ले जरा. Thank you so much.